Good morning, and thank you so much for sticking with K24. Karibu sana to our social hour. It is Monday, and that means that this is another edition of Trendsetters with me, Shiko Kaitani. If you haven't been catching up with what we've been featuring on Mondays, well, it's all about individuals who are either hustling up. When we talk about that, we mean biashara, or we've got people who are making an impact in community in whatever field they're doing. And so we've been out on the field, but today we are in studio live, ready to feature someone who's doing some amazing work on ground. You'll meet her in just a second, but as always, at K24 TV is how you can reach us through those platforms, which is Instagram, Facebook, as well as X. We did change our WhatsApp number, by the way. It's right there at the bottom of your screen if you'd like to text in, contribute, or even throw in a question or two, would be most appreciative. All right, so this being Trendsetters today, we are actually ready to hear about a social impact design brand that's working with local communities to make some of the most amazing bags and, of course, storage units that you will come across. Would like to welcome the founder of this particular brand. She's known as GLORIA KISILU of the SHABA. Hey,
hi.
How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for the lovely introduction.
Right? You know, we have to do you justice because you do such an amazing job. We've got one of her sample pieces on set, and this is just, you know, one of the many. Obviously, you can have the opportunity to check them out on their socials as well as their website if you're interested in knowing more about this product. So, Karibu Gloria, it's so good to see you. We met at the Nairobi Design Week.
Yes.
At your stand, and I was blown away by the stuff that you guys are doing. So good stuff. And I said, oh my gosh, you simply must come on the show. So let's start off by understanding what the SHABA is and why you call it the SHABA. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So the SHABA, we work with rural communities to hand make Sisal bags.
Yeah.
It's the traditional kiondo bags. So what we are able to do is kind of upgrade it because we knew that there is such a rich heritage craft within Kenya itself, and we wanted to ensure that their craftsmanship comes to light, and also we have fair pay for them. But also the most interesting thing with SHABA is that we also have an app whereby communities are able to check on orders, organize production, as well as retailers who stock up the products.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's a digital supply chain.
Right?
Yes.
So when we talk about the communities you're working with, let's understand with where you're actually based, which communities you're working with.
Currently, we have a small workshop along Thika Road whereby we do the assembly, but all our communities are in rural areas. Our closest is Machakos, and it's around 120 kilometers from Nairobi. We also have Kitui, Makueni, Taita, Kilifi. So these are some of the communities that we work with.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. You know, just getting the inspiration also behind what you do is very important. And how did you begin or came up with the idea of, okay, fine, kiondos have been here since God knows how long. Yeah. Why take it up? Why try to reinvent something that's already been there? And then why Sisal, you know?
Interesting. So again, kiondos have been there. So my grandmother used to weave baskets. She'd make these colorful baskets. I have one at the workshop that's orange, there's red, there's blue, all in one basket.
Yeah.
So because she made the products so often, she also had a market for her products, but it was through middlemen. So you'd find that she was not really getting the benefit of her craft.
Yeah.
So back then, she'd sell it for less than $1, but then it goes for 10 times its worth.
Yeah.
So she never really actualized the benefit of it. So today, the conversation really hasn't changed. A lot of communities are still struggling with that aspect. They make beautiful crafts, but they can't access larger markets for their products, even Nairobi itself. Yeah. Yeah, so we wanted to
come up with
a bridge. Yeah.
And so obviously Sisal being, you know, the primary material that you have for, you know, SHABA, take us through the process. I mean, is it a selected number of, you know, farmers that you're working with? How do you go about harvesting and all that?
Interesting. I'm a Sisal nerd, so let me just explain why we decided on Sisal.
Yeah.
Sisal is very climate resilient because it largely grows in arid and semi-arid areas, which ideally are where most of our communities are. So you'd find that the Sisal is readily available, and also artisans know how to work with Sisal as compared to banana fiber, raffia, these other types of fibers. So it was a plus for us. But also the other aspect with Sisal is we wanted a product that's eco-friendly,
Right.
that doesn't cause a lot of harm to the environment. So what we do is we actually work with the smallholder farmers who have Sisal in their fields.
Yeah.
So we work with them to plant and harvest the Sisal. Afterwards, it's rolled, and then communities are able to weave it.
Yeah.
And then you get the basket. So on this product specifically, this is what comes along.
Right.
So the artisans are able to weave it, and then it comes to Nairobi, whereby we do the leather as well as the fabric. So that's ideally how the supply chain works.
And that's where now you're actually bringing the twist to the kyondo,
Yes.
because the leather as well as the branding makes a huge difference when it comes to what we've always known as a kyondo.
Yes,
Kyondo.
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, interesting, we wanted to make sure that the product, anyone who's buying could wear it in Nairobi. If they're in Paris, they could wear it.
Right.
And also we could actually access the international market with just this one product.
Yes.
And we're very keen with the design. I remember we went back and forth with, do we put the logo here? What type of colors do we use? You know, those small things.
Yeah.
But we are really happy with the end product. Yes.
Well, one of the things that, you know, we are really proud about, you know, brands like the SHABA is the fact that it is it's about a building and buying Kenya type of concept, right? And so when you talk about something that's homemade, you really, you know, tip your hat to those individuals who are going out of their way to start something from scratch. And I think this is where, you know, I want to come in and ask about, why did you decide to use the path of least resistance in this case? Because you go on Instagram, it's so much easier, by the way. Imagine you could have just imported bags from Turkey.
True.
Like, I sold them. Yeah. So why did you decide to go through the hassle of making sure you're seeing things tangible being made from scratch?
For my own benefit, I really wanted to make sure that like our heritage and also the products that we make are actually in the international quality and standard that is actually expected. But also the other thing as to why we wanted to do it locally is because there's already a huge demand for the product. And the people who are doing imports to sell, that works for them. But also there's such a huge opportunity making made in Kenya products and also selling them within Kenya and also exporting.
Right.
But other than that, we ideally wanted to solve a problem that communities had, and it was access to market. And we couldn't do that via imports and then selling them locally. So we're very much impact driven.
And what they term as things that you see coming in from Asia, for example, you know, you're talking about China, or in this case, Turkey, and what have you, you know, a lot of people using these destinations to kind of bring in stuff. It's called fast fashion, in short, because, you know, easy come in, easy sell. But things that are actually handmade, homegrown, take a lot of process. And we want to understand what a day is like for you, or even that weaver who's on location right now watching you, you know, in Ukambani. You know, what does it take to really go through that? Is it you with your gumboots going on the field, or selecting the kind of sisal that you want and talking about different grades of it? I mean, walk us through what it takes.
Okay, interesting. I hope one of our viewers is watching, Penina or Mary. But I'll just give you a brief run through of how their day is, because I'm always interacting with them. So because we already have a system, we already have the farmers who we source the sisal from. So the sisal is then distributed to our communities. So once an order is placed, they check it on their phone, and then they're able to organize production. So a lot of but it also depends on the community, but a lot of communities sit down together and then start weaving.
Right.
You'd find very few who take their orders and then go home and weave, but a lot of them love that community aspect and that social element of things.
Yeah.
So it's usually in a day they'd sit, weave together, have stories, music, there's tea, you know. And then they'd go home. If their products aren't finished, they'd go home. Then the following day, they'd also come and finish the product.
Right.
And also after that, then a few of the women go pick up their kids.
Yeah.
And then the daily activities that they usually do. But before that, early in the morning, they usually go to the farm, do their farm work, harvest, and then now come do the weaving. Yeah.
Right.
So it doesn't really take away from their daily life. It's just a value addition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And something, you know, from the way you're describing it, kind of shows like it's a craft that's been, you know, handed down from one generation to the other. Is that the case?
That's very, very true. So you'd find with weaving, with beading, like Kenya has had a rich heritage craft for the product. So you'd find in one of our communities, which is Kitui, we have a weaver whose mother is in the group, the daughter is in the group, and the daughter's daughter is in the group.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. So how they learned is the mom taught them and then they taught their daughter. So it's always that aspect of, it's a generational craft, but we are also now finding more young people wanting to learn the craft. So what they do, or what we facilitate, is youth coming into the existing groups that we have, and then someone within the group will train them on how to weave. Yeah.
Right, right. So we continue with this cultural, this thing that we have, this heritage that we have of weaving, huh?
Yes.
Still also in that particular space, there must be a lot of challenges that also the artisans go through. And maybe this is a good opportunity to let Kenyans know, because, you know, when we see finished products, and not just yours, obviously, very many of us are familiar with Masai Market.
Yes.
But you kind of take for granted, or don't really think through the process that it took for that basket to get to the market. And so what are some of the things that you'd like to highlight about some of these individuals and the day-to-day process that they have to undergo in order to sell a basket?
Sure. I'd give one example. You'd find a product in Nairobi sold for like 200, 300 bob. So asking yourself, if a basket is 300 bob, so how much does it cost to actually produce? So once you look at the aspect of logistics, the raw material and the weaving, you'd find that a lot of artisans don't actually find the benefit of their craft. So if something is 300 bob, most likely, or when we go into the communities, they tell us they sell their products for like 150 bob, sometimes 50 bob, and it's crazy. And I think as Kenyans, we need to be more aware of if we want a cheap product and it's handmade and it's made by communities, there's someone at the end of that chain who's actually suffering for you to get that cost.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, it's not plastic. It takes time.
It takes time.
Yeah.
Na watu kama my director Dan ni watu wa kubagain.
I imagine naambia panachukua na hiyo bei.
Honestly, now I feel guilty. So we are busy here bargaining, but at the end of the day, so the artisan is what, taking home 50 shillings?
Yeah.
Wow.
And if a product has color, you know, that's an additional step.
Right.
An additional cost. And then you'd find a lot of people who are taking products from community, they want a cheap product so that they can make higher margins. But the person who's actually making it doesn't actually benefit. So you'd find like a basket would take a day or 2 days to complete. So are you fairly compensating this person?
Right.
So a lot of the products are not fair wages, they're not, like there's so much inequality there. And also if you're going into a community and you're taking products from them, you should also incorporate that aspect of training, like what value addition are you adding?
Right.
You know,
you're not just taking and drawing out of that.
I usually give this example. If you go to Masai Mara today, you'd buy a beaded necklace, the beautiful Masai necklace. Come back 3 years later, you'd still find the same pattern, the same design. So once people take things from the community and you're not actually training them about what's the next trend, how do you improve your product, things like that, communities still end up in the same situation,
right?
Because their products are not competitive in the market. And also, as Kenyans, we need to understand that we need to get our products in the global landscape, whereby we're able to compete with other nations.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is now where the issue comes in terms of what regulations are there, and maybe you can weigh in, because I'm sure you're part of some of these discussions that happen on ground, because we've got a lot of brands, like you said, taking things from communities even to the point of exporting them, and it's extortion. For lack of a better term, because when you think about who made that basket and where it's being sold in whichever country, Japan, you know, it's being seen on shelves in America. I mean, really, who do we point the finger at, you know?
We have policies in Kenya. We have how much an artisan should be paid. It goes to the detail of per hour, you know. So the government has put everything in place, but artisans don't know how much their products should be
worth.
Exactly. They don't have that knowledge, and I think we should also educate them about, okay, if you're making this specific product, it should go for this amount in the market. But also us as consumers, if you're buying something for 50 shillings, or if you're buying it for less than 1,000, and you'd find largely around like planter baskets, like laundry baskets, the amount that you get it for, and it's crazy. So us as consumers, we also need to also demand from the people we're actually buying from, okay, how much are you paying your artisans?
Right.
What are the working conditions?
There needs to be like some standardization.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
That's important. I think that this is a great time to remind our viewers that they can actually text in if you'd like to show your support for Gloria and so many like her who are actually pushing homemade products out there in the market. You know, what say you? Text us through that WhatsApp number if you do have a question also for her as the founder of the SHABA. Why don't you let us know? In fact, we've got some exciting imagery coming on your screen. Maybe we can get a glimpse of what the workshop looks like. We do have some of those images courtesy of the SHABA who sent those in to us, so you can see how these ladies actually get to work. But in the meantime, as you continue to text in, and we will appreciate and sample those in the second half, my question before the short commercial break, Gloria, to you is understanding the impact of your work. I mean, the measurables here.
Yeah.
You talk about, okay, you're working with local communities, but what can you really see has been the outcome since SHABA came into Kitui, for example? What can you brag about that? Oh, yeah, thanks to the work that we're doing, this and this and this has changed.
Okay, I love this question because we finally completed our impact report. So we have the numbers. We've done a lot, but then there's so much to be done. But just pointing out a few is with the artisans that we work with, especially last year, we were able to give them consistent orders throughout the year. And once we benchmark the amount of money that we actually pay our artisans versus either competition or other off-takers, we were 150% higher.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and then our prices are usually based on fair trade prices. So we're also very keen about that. But also we are seeing more youth coming in along just to learn the craft, learn the heritage of it. But other than that, we're seeing more women having that pride for their work.
Right.
Because generally, once we started, I remember my dad drove me to Machakos. It was my first community visit. And there was such a need of artisans don't know the prices of their products, who's taking them, where they're being sold, how much their products are. But with the 3 years that we've been in operation, we've seen a shift.
Yeah.
Also in their mindset, in the terms of, okay, this is actual work. We're actually entrepreneurs. If we do X amount of baskets, we get this amount of money. And we're changing that paradigm shift of it's an NGO kind of setup.
All right.
And actually our artisans are very aggressive in terms of work. So that's one of the things that I'd actually say that our impact within the specific communities that we're in, we're getting really positive feedback,
right.
not just financially, but also in other aspects. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, let's take that short commercial break right now. We're loving what Gloria is actually mentioning in terms of the impact that her brand is making in communities. We want to give you this opportunity yet again to text in. We will be happy if you get in touch with us. There's our WhatsApp number scrolling right now at the bottom of your screen. Show some love, throw in some questions if you will for Gloria this morning, as she is our trendsetter. We'll see you in just a bit. Welcome back to our Trendsetters episode as we get in touch with the SHABA, which is an amazing local brand working with local communities to produce Sisal products. And that's why we're calling it Sisal and Social Impact this morning. Who's here in studio with us? The lovely GLORIA KISILU. She is the founder of the SHABA, talking to us about what it's like actually to produce some of this amazing stuff that we are seeing on our shelves, that we even catch in the market. And so what we're also understanding and loving about the SHABA is how they are actually implementing technology. And before we get to that, remember we do have our WhatsApp number at the bottom of your screen. We want to sample your text message. This is such a great opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to show your love for individuals who are making an impact in community or even getting their hustle on. In fact, the whole point of Trendsetters is to motivate young people that FYI, you can get started. It doesn't matter what it is that you have in mind, but there are people who are out there doing it, living it, wearing the t-shirt, getting it done. And so karibu sana if you just tuned in. My name is Shiko Kaitani, by the way. I forgot to let you know that as we started the second half of the show, we also do have some images of the SHABA and the workshop where the magic happens that will be coming up on your screen shortly. So let's hope our editor Kihoro will be letting us know how that's going. And Dan, tafadhali give me a thumbs up as well. So GLORIA, welcome back. You had mentioned that, of course, there's the whole process, and I say all of this, you know, on your profile, whereby it's almost like a 9-step process on how we see, you know, it moving, the Sisal moving from, you know, the harvest all the way to the assembly. And then now you've got the finished product.
Yes.
But there's that step that you kind of mentioned in the beginning, whereby you're literally using tech to get, you know, your product sold. So tell us about this. Interesting.
So actually, we use tech because of some of the few challenges that we foresaw within the communities. So once you go to a community, they're in rural areas.
As in huko ndani kabisa.
No hills, you know. you have
climbing up.
No, it's rural. You know.
Rural.
So we understood that they are in really far away places, and also we wanted to ensure that it's a whole system. So we didn't want to use WhatsApp because, again, utambiwa story ya mbuzi, kumenyesha, you know, hakujanyesha, what's like, there's so much.
There's many issues.
So we wanted something extremely easy.
And
we also wanted something that we could track. Like we have information about this because, again, within the artisan sector in Africa, we have very few data around what the community produce.
Correct. That's a good point.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I remember the first initial aspect of the tech. So our tech is, we have 2 apps whereby it's the community side and also the retailer side who stock up the products and the admin side that's in between. So with the community side, we wanted something extremely simple. So the app is in Swahili. They can also learn from the app. They can train. They can organize production, and they can also check if payment has been made. So it's like a virtual factory. But everyone works from home, so that's different. After that, after the production has been made and then we have the finished product, now we have retailers who now are the buyers. So we have hotels who have also taken up or who actually understand our vision. They stock up the product through a different platform, whereby it's the SHABA retailers that facilitates their need, whereby they have consignment prices, they have the shipping cost. It's a whole entire system just for buyers.
You're right.
So what we've been able to do with the tech is the supply side, which is the community informs demand and vice versa. So in a real case study, it would be the communities inform us how much we can produce and at what point, and also the retailers help us to predict demand. So if it's November, December, January, we know we need to stock up earlier before. So we place more orders within the communities through the SHABA retailers app.
Right.
Yes, and just so to mention, we have 2 tech people who developed the app.
Oh, nice.
Okay. So for them, getting them on board was quite interesting because they wanted to create something that had impact and had meaning.
Right.
So they were like, okay, Gloria, let's do this and this. So when Gracie worked in the community and Sang worked on the retailers app, and they all worked together.
Right,
yes.
right. Interesting question though that just came to mind. Do you guys almost act as a buffer for the artisan, assuming you're having a very low season and a very slow season? Yes. Because if someone back, okay, in Kitui is, talking about, okay, fine, I've made 50 baskets, for example, but they are still sitting on shelf. What does that really mean, for them going backwards? Is it commission based that, okay, only if we do sell X amount of your baskets, then you do get, your pay, or whether or not, things are flowing, SHABA has come in and you've already offset that cost?
Interesting question. So for us, what we're able to do is, as long as you've produced, we'll make payment immediately after. So our system or our production with the community is on demand basis, but also you'd find that we have a minimum order quantity whereby we always produce every single month. Yeah. So they already are accustomed to SHABA orders. This is a quantity that we need. In case it's more, we'd increase, but we hardly go lower than that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So there's that buffer.
Yes.
All right. Still asking my director to let me know if we do have those images. We actually want to put those up, tafadhali. When we talk about, highlighting your business development plan, because I think everybody has that. It's like, okay, fine. So now we've got this product here. What's next? What are you hoping to conquer?
Interesting. I think we've just scratched the surface, because currently we have 2 solid bags. So we want to also venture into the aspect of, could we do more high-end products? Could we have a product that's just made in Kenya for Kenyans? Yeah. Also, we're also thinking about, could we also venture into other industries whereby we can work with purely Sisal to make other specific products. So with our business development, in terms of product and production, we have so much in store. In terms of onboarding communities, we have just scratched the surface. Like, we are currently working with the 5 different groups, but we want to expand, because expansion means more work for them, and also it means we have larger units that we could also export. But we're also very, very keen with the export market this year, so I'm very hopeful about it.
Oh, really? Yeah. To where and when, where?
So we're currently targeting the American market and the UK. Okay. For this year, to learn from that market, and then we could venture into other markets as well.
And it's not those stories for give your auntie X amount of bags in her suitcase and she's off to sell them. Or we're literally talking about you getting your licenses to export, and on the other side, setting up shop.
Setting up shop, not yet, but we've also done that aspect of loading the bags in a suitcase. It's so true.
Everybody does that. Anyone who's in Curious, by the way, you have that one auntie who's from Delaware, who's sorting you out.
Yeah, for me it was a friend. She was like, Gloria, give me bags. I'm like, say no more. So we packed bags. But also we are actually looking at certification whereby we can actually export, and we are very grateful for also DHL who have come in as a partner for our logistics. Oh, nice. So we're very excited about that market. Yeah.
One of the things that we love about this particular show is that we would like to get tips from you as an entrepreneur, because we are learning. And when you think about your growth over the past 3 years, what are some of the things that you would really like to share with anybody who's thinking about creating their own startup? Whatever it may be, but I think there are common factors that, that cut across from, all entrepreneurs. And so for you, what would that be?
So for me, my experience was quite interesting, because it's like, I wanted to have I had this idea, I wanted to test it out. I didn't have the expertise, but I knew I wanted X, Y, Z. So it was like, I was thrown into the ocean and told, figure it out. Yeah. And once you're in that situation, the best thing I could tell someone is have a learning attitude. Yeah. Because if you consistently learn, once you have challenges, then you get to improve. The other thing is be very clear with what you want
Yeah.
and also the direction of where you want to go, because it helps you kind of shape things.
Yeah. Because
for us, we knew we wanted the design aspect, the impact aspect, and the tech. So those are our three key pillars for SHABA. And lastly, something that I've come to appreciate is the aspect of asking people questions, especially people who know and understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because they have a much better insight of things as compared to you yourself who's just starting out. Yeah.
Interesting. Gloria, it sounds easy, but your hardships, your there are pleasure points.
Yes.
Let me call these ones the pain points
Yes.
as an entrepreneur.
Yes. What I've come to understand, with every stage of growth, there are different challenges. So once I was starting the onboarding communities, and now the challenges are different. So initially at the beginning, the challenge was, how do we get communities? How do we clearly explain what we're doing? And then it got to, okay, we have the communities, the product, we needed to refine the product, make sure that it's a very functional product, but also very aesthetic. And then now we're at the stage of, okay, we have the product, we have the traction, so how do we grow?
Yeah.
So at this current stage, the key challenge is financing or funding, whereby we want to onboard more community members to increase production, also increase our impact, but also we need more financing just to scale to the next level. And that's where we're currently very keen about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. My director tells me that we do have some great imagery ready to share with our viewers. Really getting a glimpse of what does take place on ground. This is how the SHABA works with communities. And Dan, feel free to run that clip. What's happening here? Is this one of the workshops taking place?
Yes. So the first one was Penina explaining about the specific type of product that they do. This is Mary and me. She's actually demonstrating to me how the SHABA community app works.
Yeah.
So it is quite interesting from her standpoint. This is one of the women weaving a basket. So everything is handmade.
Yeah.
In that
look at
aspect.
how fast she is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very, very intricate. And also you'd notice that in terms of quality, we've also provided quality control tools.
Yeah.
So this is a workshop whereby we do the assembly and also the attachment of the leather and the fabric. So this is how we process the leather for the straps.
Wow. How many employees are we talking about right now?
We are a very small team, so around 5 people.
Yeah.
But we make everything work. Again, with tech, everything becomes a lot more easier.
Right.
So this is our workshop. That's Evelyn doing the fabric, making sure that it's up to standard. And this is actually our newest bag, the Wahura in black. So doing the logo in itself there. Yes.
Wow, this is amazing. When you talk about startup capital, I mean, how crazy or how manageable was this? Did you also get assistance from a financial institution, or were you able to literally save up to do all this?
Initially, when you start, it's usually your own capital, because you need to risk and see if by the day is what I want to do actually worth it. And I remember I had, was it 27,000 in my account? I'd saved up from a few of the side projects that I was doing.
Yeah.
And that's what I used to start buying the products, transport, things like that. And after that, what happened was I got to sell a few of the products, but still the money wasn't enough.
Right.
So me and the communities, we all agreed that, okay, so we need to make sure that our products get to this quality. So we sorted out the production, the product itself, and then along the way we got funding from different organizations.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Okay, and is that a key, point for you, that you must continue to pitch to different organizations to support your initiatives, or?
Currently, what I've come to understand, it has to be a mix. You have to generate your own revenue so that it covers all your costs.
Yeah.
And then for you to grow, then you need outside financing just to make sure that everything is you can actually scale to a different level, buy machinery, do 1, 2, 3 with their communities as well.
Right, right. This is fantastic. We're talking about one artist doing how many bags a day?
With this small one, this tiny one, they can be made 2. Again, because we've done this product for more than an year, so the communities are very conversant with it. The Wahura bucket bag takes an entire day to produce. Again, because our weaving is very fine, very intricate, so it needs a bit more time. And also because we don't have color on the sisal, so you need to be very keen, so you can't weave when you're in the farm because of that. So you have to sit down and then be keen when weaving.
Wow.
Yes.
And that even almost looks like it was done by machine. I can't even believe that was done by hand.
This is by hand.
Oh my goodness.
By hand. Yes.
You are so right. It's so intricate. And I mean, you just love it. You know, it's so well done to the point you actually think that this wasn't done by hand.
Yeah.
I love it. I really, really do. Dan, do we have any text messages? If so, by the way, give me a thumbs up. We'd like to sample those in the next couple of minutes or so. I think we have about 10 minutes. If there's anybody saying hi to Gloria, sending in a question, also some support that you're seeing through our socials, Ebony Show, so that we can put them up. There's the question that I actually threw to a lot of you when I met you at the Nairobi Design Week. And I think today this is what is expected from, you know, people who are in production. The issue of sustainability, very big today, because we know what's happening in the world and everybody has to kind of place or play their part. So for you, in terms of stamping your footprint when it comes to being sustainable, what would you like to tell us about the brand?
For us, again, impact and sustainability go hand in hand. For us, especially in terms of the product, because we use Sisal, Sisal has actually absorbs CO2 from the environment, so it's very sustainable, and also it's climate resilient. So what we're doing is when there is a climate crisis, communities can actually earn from the product, even if products from the farm don't actually give them money. So we found that during, was it 2022, when we had a drought, communities still had income because they were also weaving our products.
Oh, nice.
So that's some of the few things, but also because we have Sisal, Sisal also helps in the conservation of honeybees.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Again, we're in very dry areas, so dried and semi-arid areas. So you'd find that Sisal, the plant, has a longer flowering period as compared to other types of flowers. So bees find nectar from Sisal when it's dry. So you'd find in Taita there's also that aspect of honey sisal. It tastes a bit different, but bees are able to survive because of the sisal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. And even in terms of your zero waste policy, how are you able to ensure, by the way, you're making the most out of, you know, this material? Whether, you know, be it you have offcuts or whatever it is, how do you go about dealing with that so that, you know, you're not seeing a lot of, you know, damage to the environment courtesy of what you're producing?
For us, because we also have tech, we have information about how much we produce, so we don't have waste in terms of production. But also in the workshop, we are very keen with the waste that we produce. And again, we always repurpose that aspect. If it's the fabric, we'll use it to do something else. And if it's the leather, then you'd find this piece is a waste from the strap, so we are able to repurpose it. So we have very few waste within our supply chain.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I think we have one text, if I'm not wrong. I've done that we can sample because of time. As we start saying kwaheri, Grace, hey, I wanted to commend you for the good job. My question would be around investment for the business and the growth of the business along these lines. Are you open to investment?
Yes, I am very. Thank you for the compliment. I'm very open to investment. I'd love to have more partners on board, more actually also other organizations that we could actually go to the community with so that we have a bigger impact. But yes, I'm very much open to investment.
For those who are watching and are thinking, I could really want to like plug into something like that, perhaps not even as an investor, but what kind of roles can people or well-wishers play in the SHABA brand?
interesting. So we usually have like pop-ups.
Yeah.
So having that support for people coming to see what we're doing, but also sharing our content on socials. But other than that, if you'd like to come along for the community visits, volunteer, we'd love to have you as well. We're very open to it. But also we are planning on opening up more roles whereby people can come and interact with us and have the entire SHABA experience. Because when we tell you we are going to the communities, this is how it looks like, people actually want to see and also want to be part of it.
Right.
So we are creating something around that as well.
Wow, fantastic. Yes. I was talking to Gloria about, you know, going sides of Ukambani, and then, you know, the minute when she told me, wako uko ndani, yani uko rural, I was like, okay, I've already been to Wote. That's fine enough for me. Because getting to Wote town, I was like, okay, koni hatufiki,
right.
hatufiki. So if you're telling me it's farther than that,
It is.
I don't know. Maybe I can just do the Thika Road branch.
Okay, understandable.
All right, so what is your parting shot as we say kwaheri, lovely Gloria, to our viewers who are watching? Then we can say kwaheri, and hopefully guys will be, you know, looking out for you on social media.
Yes. I want to say thank you also for the opportunity. If you'd like to meet us or you'd like to interact with SHABA, we are very active on Instagram as well. Facebook, X, LinkedIn is like our vibe.
Yeah.
So please comment, follow. We'd love to interact with you as well. Yes.
All right. My director by the way ni watu wenu wa huko Ukambani. Anasema wote nova.
Ni hapa tu.
Ni hapa tu. That's what it means. Nova.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ni hapa tu.
Ni hapa tu. Wote nova. All right. So there's something I'm gonna surprise Gloria with once we show or we rock up at her place. Yeah. Okay. Me listening to SHABA ranks and being like, this I love, man. SHABA.
Yes. I love it.
That is now officially your soundtrack, okay?
I'll go save it on my Spotify.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Mr. Loverman, SHABA. Thanks so much for watching. We hope that you have been inspired this morning by the kind of work that the likes of Gloria are doing on ground. So a round of applause to the SHABA. And thank you so much for supporting artisans. We want to wish you all the best. Watu wa wote na Ukambani, by the way, tafadhali, police, mufanye hivi, mtafute Gloria. Okay, there's lots of work and spaces to be filled when it comes to creating products right from home. Okay, and it's also about promoting our culture and our heritage, as we do know what the Kyondo has done for communities in this country. All right, let's leave it there. My name is Shiko Kaitani saying thanks so much for watching. Interactive is coming up next. Gloria, mwah, mwah, mwah. By the way, she has her identical twin sister in studio. I wish we could get a shot of her dad, but she looks as Yanni. Oh my God. Oh, what?
Exact.
Do you want to come say bye? Come, quickly, as we say goodbye. Hi. All right, look at the camera, say bye. All right, twinning.